Hey everybody, how y'all doing? Welcome to the Blue Chip Podcast by fans for fans. This is your host Cody Potter. How y'all doing today, man? We're going to get into these pro day reports from the LSU Tigers, the Miami Hurricanes, and these guys that did their pro days on Monday. First, I appreciate you guys taking the time watching the pod, like, comment, subscribe. I really appreciate it, man. It helps me get the podcast out there. Just handling the business. I always forget to say this part and things like that, man. We're going to get right into this. Let's start with Delane, man. Really, really good, talented cornerback, man. Out of LSU, transfer from Virginia Tech, man. He's a really talented football player, man. Ran a 4.38 at his pro day. I think he solidified himself as a top 10, top 12 player in this draft. Everything you need to see, man. Really, really good feet, really, really good balance. Really, really improved his back pedal and turn and run. This past season at LSU, I think the system that they played in at LSU really highlighted and accentuated his skill set. Running a really, really, really heavy man system at Virginia Tech is something that he thrives in, but I think his time at LSU really, really just accentuated his all-around game. Playing off, playing zone, having his eyes on the quarterback, man, allowing him to be, show and accentuate that he has really, really good eyes, really, really good break on the football. His tackling ability is there. All the length that you want, 6 foot, 190 pounds. He throws his hat in there, he gets in there, and he's a good tackler, man. Everything. I wouldn't mind this guy on the Commanders. I think he'd be a hell of a pick. But for where I think he's going, I think the Miami Dolphins are probably his floor. I think Dallas could be right around there as well. I could see the Cincinnati Bengals being in that range. The New York Giants would really, really, really probably be the ceiling for his for how early he could go, top 5 pick. I think he's got the skill set to be that guy. He is a riser, as far as from what he was grading at Virginia Tech, but transferring to LSU, man, I mean, he, shutting down Antonio Williams in the Clemson matchup, which was a huge game early in the year when Clemson still had, a lot of hope and national title aspirations, and everything just, everybody knows what happened to Clemson after that. Delane it's a really, really good corner. He's my number 1 corner in this draft. He's worthy of this title. He's got it, man. Man coverage, like I said, zone coverage ability. He's everything you want. Scheme diverse. He's definitely that guy. For the Commanders, I think it would be kind of log jamming a position, kind of how we did back in the day under Ron Rivera, where it was you had drafted Jonathan Allen, then you drafted Deron Payne, then you drafted Montez Sweat, then you drafted Chase Young. All within 4 years, and when you do things like that, drafting Mikey Samerstill and then drafting Trey Amos and now drafting, Delane, I think it puts a logjam on the position where you have to pick one and ultimately you're going to lose it. So, when you're drafting, 2 guys in the second round and 1 in the first, especially as high as we are this year, I think there's just a better allocation of assets that you need to do. I think you can still find value in this draft at the cornerback position in the 3rd round. Are you going to get a Delane in the 3rd round? No. That said, very, very good player, man. Really, really justified everything he did there at his pro day. Again, man, worthy, very, very worthy of the pick. Then you got Harold Perkins Jr. running a really, really, really good time. I talked about Harold Perkins Jr. on one of my last mocks. He was my last pick because I talked about him just being there and the value being too high. Harold Perkins Jr. is a day 2 pick, for me, minus the injuries. That's why you're seeing him on all these mocks falling and things like that. That said, like I said, this is going to be a busy week for us, man. We're going to be putting out a pod every day. Every day has a ton of schools that we're going to have to discuss. We're going to have to discuss all these pro days and things like that. I love Delane's tape. I love Harold Perkins Jr., the prospect. I wish the health wasn't the issue that it is because I think he is a really, really, really good football player. Again, I think we're a little bit, Delane will be here for a top 30 visit. We're also, Delane Everett will be here on a top 30 visit. We're going to, we'll report on that. I think Delane Everett is probably one of the first corners that I've really, really liked out of Georgia in a really, really, really long time. And he's a really, really good player. That said, it's just but there's guys in this draft. Like I said, you get to the third round, there's guys like Traden Stukes, that are going to be worthy of their picks. I think drafting a guy in the first round at cornerback, I think that's going to be a little bit rich for what the Commanders are looking for in this draft. I do think there are better players and things like that. So again, nothing against Mansour Delane. I just think there's a better allocation of assets for this. And honestly, Mansour Delane and everything that he did, it's going to get me to my next team. Of course, I'm rocking Miami University right now. That's my team. That's the team I like. I'm not going to report this on a bias. I'm just going to report on the player. But Keontae Scott had himself a day. A nickel corner. I think he's got the ability to play inside and out. I think he's got the ability to play safety if he really needed to. He's got really, really good eyes, man coverage, zone coverage. He's got the hips. He's got the breakaway speed. There's multiple reports whether he ran a 4.25, ran an official 4.29. There's some blazing speed out of here from Keontae Scott, man. We all saw what he did breaking on the ball against Ohio State, man. Really, really set the tone in that game, getting up 14-0 on Ohio State. That was the turning point in the game for the Miami Hurricanes, man. And the Miami Hurricanes and their defense, man. That was the staple of that team. That and their offensive front and the running game. Maui Noah, the tackle at Miami. We talked about it yesterday with Ruben Bain. Ruben Bain didn't measure in, or he didn't run the 40 or things like that. So a bunch of guys are going to talk about that. Let's just be real, man. The ability is there for Ruben Bain Jr., man. I'm just gonna tell you, man. There's a lot of people that want to take him off the draft boards or whatever because he didn't test the small arms. He's stuck with it as far as the combine and things like that. I'm just going to keep it real, man. This is a guy. As far as Duke goes, Chandler Rivers, man. This guy, I think he can he can steadfast on what he did at the combine, man. Ran really, really good. Chandler Rivers is a really, really good outside corner who I know can play inside. He's a feisty player, man. He's got the hips, he's got the eyes, he's got the ability, can play off, can play man. Again, a little bit smaller type of prospect, man. And then you got the Iowa pro day as well, and Iowa's always got some really, really good defensive players. They've really, really had a knack for putting out defensive backs and things like that, and they have a couple of defensive backs that have some return ability and things like that because they prioritize special teams. So that's from Monday's pro days. Ruben Bain Jr., man, it's the tape for me, man. This guy's a cornerstone player. I think Keontae Scott is going to be a really, really good football player on Sundays, man. He is a dog football player, man. For whatever anybody wants to say, being a Miami University fan, he is that dude, man. He's a really, really rock solid football player. Like I said, I can't scout with a bias, man. It was really, really enjoyable to watch my team go all the way to the national title game and give Indiana, everything that they had. They went undefeated for a reason. They're a really, really talented football team. Love Omar Cooper Jr., love Elijah Surratt. I love Keontae Black. I love, the other running back that they have there. Love Coogan, the center. They got some dogs there. Kamara, the edge. Their quarterback, he's going to be at the top pick in the draft. It's no secret, and he's very, very worthy of the play, of the pick. But to the Miami Hurricanes, man, and from LSU, again, Harold Perkins Jr., Mansour Delane, all these guys at their pro days are doing everything that I needed to see, man. Watching Ruben Bain run through the drills. If you're going to let the measurables, if you're going to let all the things that happen, after the season that aren't involved on the tape, if those are the things that are going to detract you from taking a really, really, really good football player, then this is why scouts get it wrong all the time. There's pressure rates and there's, all these statistics, man. I can find a bunch of statistics, whether it's on PFF, whether it's, you see these guys that grade out great in this department, with this measurable or this stat rating or things like that. The PFF, tries to attribute to, showing you what you're seeing with your eyes. Pressure statistics are great, and stats fluctuate. You don't always get home, but can you get pressure on the quarterback? Guys like Keldrick Falk, and things like that. Realistically, man, Keldrick Falk is a boomer bust for me, man. Like, we saw it last year with the boy from Texas A&M. Nick Scourton was really, really good, and then you had the one that went to the Bengals. Really, really high pressure rate with 4 sacks in his career in college. So again, man, like you can prioritize all these great stats that PFF and things come up with, man, and they are a really, really good measuring stick for what you're seeing on the field. That said, at the end of the day, man, tape is king. For me, and Ruben Bain Jr. he's a top 5 pick. I mean, if he's there to the Commanders, and Jeremiah Love I did it in a mock. I explained why I took Jeremiah Love, but I could see Adam Peters going the other way, and I would understand why he goes the other way because of the positional value. The other reason why I picked Jeremiah Love over Ruben Bain Jr. was simply because of Adam Peters and his knack for valuing height, weight, speed. I mean, what you're going to get from Jeremiah Love, height, weight, speed wise, and the impact that he gives you in multiple facets of the game, which is why I continue to be so high on him. He is my number 1 player in this draft overall. And again, Caleb Downs, same thing. You can put a precedent on height, weight, speed, or you can put a precedent on the tape. Realistically, whether it was Alabama with Caleb Downs, whether it was 2 years at Ohio State, Caleb Downs was one of the best college football players in all of college football. So again, man, we can get caught up in measurables. We can get caught up in what these guys run in underwear. Realistically, man, like, if we're going to talk about underwear, then let's talk about Braden Thompson, the guy who ran a 4.26, out of Mississippi State. I know he plays at a 4.26, and I know he's got track speed, and I know he's a really, really good football player. There's a lot of development that goes into him, and there's a reason he's going to go in the 4th, 3rd, 4th, 5th round, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, these numbers and these testing numbers, man, like at the end, if they played consistently to these testing numbers and their tape was as good as their testing numbers, they would be number 1 overall picks, and they're not. And there's a reason for it. Ruben Bain Jr. and everything that he puts on tape, you see the bend, you see the explosiveness, you see the twitch, you see the just brute strength and power. So at the end of the day, whatever their markers are and their keys, yes, all it's doing is confirming what you're seeing on tape. You already knew Ruben Bain's arms weren't what they were, and at the end of the season, he was graded to here. So at the combine, when he measures in, if you're dropping him down to here, what are you dropping him for? You already watched what You already watched what he did with those arms. And arms didn't get any shorter. They didn't get any longer. It is what it is. He's the player that he is. So again, Ruben Bain Jr. is a top 5 pick for me. If he's available to the Commanders and Jeremiah Love is off the board, then I would run that pick in. And again, I mean, same with Caleb Downs, same thing. I mean, whether it's Caleb Downs, whether it's Ruben Bain Jr., whether it's Jeremiah Love, just get the best player. I find it really, really hard that you're going to look at Ruben Bain Jr. and you watch the collection of tape that he's put on display for the last 3 years in college. 4 years in college, whatever it is, it's really, really hard to find a better player than Ruben Bain Jr., man. So, if you want to get caught up on the fact he didn't run a 40, whatever, man. I don't know what he runs in a 40. I don't need to know what he runs in a 40. I know how quick his ass gets to the quarterback. I know how impactful he is in the run game. I know that I've seen him, strong arm. With those short arms, I've seen him, put offensive linemen on skates and run down an a running back while he's pushing that offensive lineman. So again, man, so whatever he runs, whatever he tests at, whatever it is, he's twitched up enough, man. He's worthy of the pick. So again, I can't get caught up in what what's going on at the pro days. Again, these are just tools to solidify, man. These teams already know what these players are on tape. and teams will draft these guys based off of what they do, in the offseason and things like that. But at the end of the day, who is the guy in the locker room? Who is the guy in the weight room? Who is that guy every day at practice? Who is that guy? What does that guy do for other players around him? Does he make them better? Ruben Bain Jr. makes every player around him better. Akeem Mesidor on the Miami Hurricanes this year, an older prospect, was not Akeem Mesidor before he started playing beside Ruben Bain Jr. He's been a good prospect. Akeem Mesidor, it just clicked because you get in that room, you see these players and how they work together, and you see that dude, every day in practice, every day in the weight room, every day stacking days, and that makes you want to elevate your game. And that's exactly what it did for Akeem Mesidor, man. And I love Akeem Mesidor. Akeem Mesidor should go day one in this draft as well. So again, what is Ruben Bain Jr. on and off the field? He is a consummate pro. He is a pro that is coming out of college, and he is a day one starter. And honestly, if the Commanders were to draft him, I love what Adam Peters did in free agency. He is our best defensive player day one. I agree with that statement, whether it is Sonny Styles, whether it is Caleb Downs, or whether it is, Ruben Bain Jr., David Bailey. Those four players, even maybe Arvell Reese, because I do think Arvell Reese has a crazy high ceiling. I think he has a skill set that's going to be very, very disruptive and very, very impactful in this league. For me, my grades are what they are because of the tape, because it's a one-year thing. At the end of the day, I know what Arvell Reese's upside is. It's not a knock on him because I'm not grading him as a blue-chip player just because I know he has the blue-chip ability. It is year after year after year. It also had to do with some of the impact and things that I saw in the playoffs. So again, it's just, there's a lot of things that go into grading. Again, all four of those players, to me, day one would be our best defensive player, even with the players that we have signed in free agency. And it would only complement what we did in free agency. You put Ruben Bain Jr. across from Odafe Owe on a passing down, and I think that is a hell of a dynamic that you got between that power and that burst that Odafe Owe offers. When you got, Jerzon Newton and the explosion off the line that he gives you from the interior, Deron Payne and the power and burst that he gives you from the interior. Again, man, that's a really, really different dynamic for the front seven, man. I think I would be an amazing addition. The only reason I continue to prioritize Jeremiah Love is because the most important asset that this team has going forward is the development of Jaden Daniels, and you're getting a player that's just different from a lot of players. You don't see a Jeremiah Love in each draft class. You're looking at a Jeremiah Love type talent every 3 to 5 years. We're talking about the Saquon Barkleys and the Bijan Robinsons, the Jamari Gibbs of the world, but Jeremiah Love in his own right is a different player than all of them guys, and they all have a different skill set. One is a dynamically yoked up, rocked up individual in Saquon Barkley who can catch the ball out of the backfield, and that asset and that impact that he gives you out of the backfield is why he's graded so high. You see the way that Jeremiah Love runs and that contact balance, the vision and the eyes and the spin move and everything that he has, that is a different trait and ability than you factor in the pass blocking and the pass catching and things like that. That is the different asset that you continue to stack that makes him so important and so valuable to the team. It's not just because he's a dynamic running back. Dynamic running backs go round 2, round 3, round 4 all the time. It's the pass catching ability, the pass blocking ability, and all the traits and everything that you stack together. That's what makes him such a special prospect. And I think you add that to Jaden Daniels. That is why I'm so high on him in this class. That is why he is the best player in this class for me. Also, if Ruben Bain Jr. was 6'5", 260 pounds, and plays the way that he does, he would be that guy. He would be Myles Garrett. He would be that guy. Doesn't mean he's not going to play like that guy. It's just size and height, weight, speed, and all the traits, they do go into a grade. Ultimately, I'm not going to knock what I see on that guy from that guy on tape, because the tape is blue chip. The tape is blue chip. He is a blue chip player. Like that is what he is. Are the grades blue chip? No, because he doesn't have those elite measurables. But that doesn't mean he's not a blue chip player. That doesn't mean he's not going to be a blue chip player. It also doesn't mean he's going to be a blue chip player in the league, because ultimately it's the NFL. Some guys don't translate. That is always the risk. If we all knew every team would get these draft picks right, and that's why you would see no team would be bad, and that's ultimately what it is. And that's, any scout that tells you they know what somebody's going to be translating from college to the NFL, they don't. At the end of the day, people get it wrong every year. You can't predict injury. You can't predict scheme fit. You can try, and we do. We watch how they play in certain positions, and you look and you translate it to a different coaching staff, and that's where scouting comes in, and that is the difference in what it is for scouting. Again, I appreciate you guys checking out the pod. I think Ruben Bain Jr. did himself a lot of good, whether he ran or not. He's going to be a dude come draft day. He's going to be a dude on Sundays, and honestly, he's the type of player that you want in your locker room. If he doesn't go in the top 10, I don't know who goes in the top 10 in this draft, honestly, because he's a top 5 top player in this draft. Man, he's special. David Bailey, we got his pro day coming up Thursday. Notre Dame is today. A lot of good teams coming up today, Texas and things like that. I think Missouri or Auburn, I think, is today. I will probably report on that tomorrow, unless I get home early, today, and get everything that I need to do, put all my notes together and things like that to report on it. I expect Anthony Hill Jr. to blow it up today. Michael Taft has done excellent. He's solidified everything that you saw from him on tape. As a former walk-on, man, Michael Taft is a hell of a football player, man. That's why I took him in my last mock, my 7th-round mock drafted the Commanders, man. Michael Taft is a hell of a football player. He'd be a very welcome addition, 3rd, 5th round. I mean, whatever it is, man. Wherever he goes is probably going to be later than what you see on tape, because Michael Taft is a hell of a football player. But again, height, speed, and things like that. Being a walk-on, not a blue chip player, coming out of high school and things like that. He did it the long way, man. I love them type of players. I love that type of story, and he's a hell of a football player, really sound. And there's a lot of good players, man. Offensive lineman from Texas, man. I think he's got a lot of bright things that he can do for himself today at the pro day. Show the length, show the the movement skills and things like that. I think he's going to be a really, really good player down the line for an NFL team on Sundays. Muhammad, the cornerback from Texas, can he clean up some of the grabbing issues and things like that? He's got all the length, all the speed, the hands and things like that. Can he continue to improve, his draft stock, today? Notre Dame, both of the running backs from Notre Dame. Malachi Fields, what is he going to look like in drills and things like that, working with his own quarterback and things like that. So again, big things are coming for this week. I'm going to be potting and reporting on each one of them each day. I appreciate you guys. If you guys stuck it out to the end, I really appreciate it. I love doing it, man. This is what this podcast is all about. I am Commanders based, but ultimately the Blue Chip Podcast, that is the draft. The draft is my thing. That's what I do. College football is my thing. I love translating tape. I love watching NFL. I love watching college, but ultimately I love projecting, and I love really digging into who these players are on and off the field. I love watching them progress from what I saw in them in high school, because I watch a ton of high school ball as well. Football is life, man. Football is king. That's what we do it for, man. That's where the love comes from. So again, if you guys stuck it out to the end of this pod, I really appreciate it. If you guys comment, I will be interactive. If you've ever commented before, I will get right back to you. And that's what I love doing, man. You ask me questions, I will put it on the next pod. That's my favorite thing. I want to be interactive. I want to be all these things. So again, man, I thank you guys for checking out the pod. Everything that we do here for, man. Have a blessed week. Stay safe, man. Enjoy your, be safe, and, love your family and everything like that, man. There's a lot more important things in football, but ultimately, man, we all celebrate a lot of things in life because of football, man. Football brings you together, the team aspect and things like that. So hopefully you take the good things away from football and enjoy your life, man, because there's a lot of good things to be, appreciative for, and we all live a blessed life. I'm blessed to do this. So again, man, from the Blue Chip Podcast, Cody Potter, man, have a blessed week. Peace.